Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Sarah Loisi. I'm a genetic counselor at Igenomix and also a member of the scientific committee. It's my pleasure to welcome all the attendees for our webinar today. I know that many of you have taken the time away from your schedule and made an effort to join our webinar. Thank you for taking the time out and being here with us today. This is the first series of our webinar for the year 2021. We are happy to share our depth knowledge, our experience, and expanded genetic testing with you today. Before we begin, I would like to welcome all of our speakers from Igenomix lab in UAE, who will share their knowledge and experience with us today. The first speaker, Dr. Lova Matza. Dr. Lova is responsible for implementation and supervising the GPDX services for Middle East and India. He has more than 12 years of research experience and 6 years of industrial experience in the field of genomics and molecular biology. He has 15 publications in peer-reviewed in national and international journals. He's responsible for the analysis and the interpretation for the molecular genetic test result, covering the whole genome, the whole exome, and the mitochondrial, the microarray, and the NIPT result. He's always provided support to clinicians regarding identification and management of the high-risk patient and aiding also in genetic counseling. I would like also to welcome our next speaker, Ms. Tamam Khalaf. Ms. Tamam Khalaf is a board member of the Arab Association of Genetic Counselors. She is a clinical counseling specialist currently based in United Arab Emirates. She completed her Bachelor of Science with honor from the University of Toronto. Then she pursued her Master of Science in Genetic and Genomic Counseling at Cardiff University. Tamam now is currently a genetic counselor and a clinical counseling specialist in Igenomix UAE. She offers the genetic counseling to patients all over the Middle East in both English and Arabic. Our third speaker for us today will be Ms. Ilona Barbosa. Ms. Ilona, she is experienced customer support manager with a demonstrated history of working in a hospital and healthcare industry. She has a Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy focused in pharmaceutical science from Southwestern University. I think before we begin, I would like to just to remind all the attendees that we will be running a questions and answer at the end of our webinar. So if you have any questions, try to write them down in the Q&A section. We will discuss all these questions at the end of our webinar. If you miss anything, don't worry, we will be recording this webinar and we can send also the presentation later on. Now, I think I will hand this session over to our first speaker, Dr. Lova.
Good afternoon, everyone. And firstly, I would like to thank each and everyone for joining in our webinar. And thank you so much for taking your time to join with us. And today we will be talking about the 5 secrets to unlock the genomic precision diagnosis with Igenomix. And in this session, we'll be talking mostly about these 5 points. The latest, we are 100% local, and how we are 100% local using the latest methodology and the techniques that are available with us in-house, and increasing the exome sequencing results quality and achieving the accuracy of greater than 99% at 20x coverage, and the pre and post test genetic counseling services that we offer. And the 4th point would be how speed we can give the results, like let's say in 15 working days, since we are 100% local, operating everything in our Dubai laboratory. And finally, talking about our 24/7 dedicated customer support services. And using the latest methodologies and the techniques that we are offering, the genomic precision diagnostics, that is GPDX from Igenomix, offer a wide range of comprehensive testing methods with the most advanced technologies for a molecular diagnosis of a genetic condition that you are looking for. And with these technologies, we can able to identify the sequence variants, structural rearrangements, trinucleotide repeat expansions, and copy number variations, so on. And with the help of these technologies, we can offer our services in all the life stages, right from the preconception, the family hoping to have a healthy progeny, healthy offspring, and for a prenatal, where like ultrasound findings identify some genetic some abnormalities, and the prenatal, the amniotic fluid or the CVS sample can be tested for any given condition. And by chance, if the pregnancy is leading to a stillbirth or POC, then the POC can be tested for these conditions to know the genetic condition underlying for the cause of these stillbirths. And the postnatal and neonatal, if there is any syndromic condition in the baby or any metabolic disorder, can be tested by our portfolio. And also we offer testing for any child or the adult who are having a genetic condition or any health issues related to a genetic condition, can be tested through our methodologies. And this is our broad portfolio. Like we have right from a single gene testing and even the precision panels for all the therapeutic areas like cardiology, metabolic, endocrinology, and neurology, nephrology. And we also have a single gene testing, especially for repeat expansions, and MLPA to detect any deletion duplications at a gene level, and a single gene sequencing by NGS, and the Sanger sequencing to identify a particular mutation that you are looking for. And also at the genome level and exome level, we offer whole exome and whole genome sequencing services for the trio, couple, and solo index patients. And we also offer a chromosomal testing methods using the karyotyping as well as the latest methodology, that is chromosomal microarray, with 3 different technology chips that we have. We'll be talking more in detail in the next slides. Yeah, so with this advantage of broad portfolio, we can offer a service for a regular karyotyping and for the chromosomal testing, which would able to identify the chromosome abnormalities, aneuploidies, and also we have FISH and QFPCR targeting the most common 5 chromosomes that are affected, 13, 18, 21, X and Y. And also we offer chromosomal microarray with 3 different platforms, that is Optima 160K, and mid-range chip, that is 750K, and high density chip. So all these platforms can able to identify the chromosomal abnormalities, either aneuploidies or any chromosomal changes can be detected, and can also detect the unbalanced translocations. But whereas coming to balanced translocations, only karyotype can detect these balanced translocations. And the sensitivity for karyotyping would be 5 to 10 MB, whereas for the FISH and the QFPCR will be around 100 KB. And in chromosomal microarray, so depending on the chip or the platform we are using, the sensitivity varies, like for Optima around 1 MB losses and 2 MB for the gain. And for 750K, deletions like greater than 50 KB and duplications greater than 400 KB can be detected. While in the high density microarray, so anything above like 25 KB deletions and 200 KB duplications can be detected using these technologies. And we have to the molecular tests that are available with us. We have, like as we just discussed, like we have a single gene testing to the whole genome testing, and in the target variant testing, which we aim to sequence or identify only one particular mutation that was identified to be cause of the disease in running in the family, and these can be tested either by Sanger, Miniseq, or any snapshot method that we are using currently. And this is mostly used for the family segregation and the carrier testing of an individual. And the single gene testing, any single gene biologically known to cause the disease can be sequenced using the next generation sequencing methods, and will be used again. The single gene testing can be used when we have a case with a known variant in a gene, or the single gene etiology of the conditions like BTD deficiency or any other single gene conditions can be tested using opting this methodology. And panel test, like we have different panels, designed different panels for all the therapeutic areas like cardiology, neurology, nephrology, and all these panels can be tested using next generation sequencing methods. And the depth we offer greater than 150x, and this can be used when we have a clear diagnosis of a condition and we know that the genes responsible for the conditions, then the panel test is always recommended. And coming to whole exome sequencing, we can sequence all 24,000 known genes, or greater than more or less 24,000 genes that are known to cause that are responsible for the protein coding in the genome. And these tests, like whole exome, is offered in, as we discussed, can be offered in for a solo, couple, and the trio. So depending on the condition and depending on the family history, so these can be offered in all three platforms. And here we offer full support to the clinicians and the patients in deciding which test to be chosen according to the condition that are looking to be diagnosed. And we have a full support from the genetic counselors and the geneticists in-house to discuss about a case, like either as a pre-test or the post-test. We are always available to discuss these cases. And we also offer whole genome sequencing. This is to sequence entire genome, coding and non-coding genes in the gene parts in our genome, and including mitochondrial genome. And we can offer at a 30x coverage for the clinical usage using the same next generation sequencing methodology. And this is mostly used when we have no answer using the whole exome sequencing or the chromosomal microarray for a given condition. Then still we can take up the case for the whole genome sequencing to see if there is any new gene causing the disease, or if there is any new intronic or deep UTR variant that is causing the disease. And we also offer these single gene tests, especially MLPA and expansion repeat testing. MLPA is mainly based to identify any deletion, duplication that are at the gene level to cause the disease. Like the best examples could be DMD or SMA conditions. These we know that any deletions in the DMD gene at the exon level, deletions in the DMD gene can cause Duchenne muscular dystrophy, or any deletions like the main exon 7 and 8 deletion duplications in the SMA gene can cause spinomuscular atrophy. These conditions can be tested through MLPA. And like another best example could be CYP21A2 causing CAH. And expansion repeats, few genes are known to have these trinucleotide or tetranucleotide repeats in the genome, and which may lead to a disease condition, like for example spinocerebellar ataxia or Huntington's disease, myotonic dystrophy, Fragile X. So these can be tested through expansion repeat testing that we are offering at Igenomix through GPDX. And this is the latest technology that we are using for the exome sequencing and genome sequencing, or the single gene and the panel test that we are offering. And this is the NovaSeq 6000 mission from Illumina. And this is the most advanced and powerful instrument to go for whole genome and exome sequencing more efficiently. And these are some other instruments that we have in-house. genetic analyzer and some PCR machines we have in-house. And now talking about the second point, that how we are increasing our performance and giving more accurate results using these latest technologies. So as we discussed, we are using latest Illumina sequencing methodology, that is NOVA 6000, and these comprehensive genome and exome panels from Illumina are enriched probes, especially to detect some copy number variations. And we have 100% in-house bioinformatics pipeline, which is the patient information is fully safe and secured, and detecting the copy number variations and mitochondrial genome variations in the exome and genome data is also possible. And the panel that we are using from the exome for the exome is from Illumina, and which is around 45 MB in size, and the mean coverage we can offer greater than 150x for the exome sequencing, and for the genome it is around 30x. And the quality of the reads, that is Q30 mapping more than 95% of the sequencing reads, and greater than 99% of the known disease causing variants in ClinVar and HGMD are covered in our exome at a sequencing depth of greater than 20x. And the sensitivity of detecting these copy number variations by the sequencing methodology is somewhere around 75 to 90%, depending on the size of the copy number variation and the zygosity of the copy number variation that we are detecting. So as I was mentioning, we have 100% in-house analysis and interpretation and the bioinformatics pipelines, which maintains the confidentiality of the patient's information, and we are not outsourcing any data outside the laboratory so that your data is fully secured, the patient's data is fully secured in-house. And we follow latest guidelines from ACMG to interpret, classify, and report these sequencing variants. And overall process is handled by the certified geneticists and genome analysts in-house. And we use the latest databases like Nomad, OMEM, HGMD, ClinVar, ClinGen, and finally to classify the variants, ACMG guidelines are implemented in the sequencing variants. And right from the sample arrival to the lab, DNA extraction, the library preparation and sequencing using Illumina platforms and bio-IT pipelines, which are 100% in-house, the pipelines and the analysis tools, and even the curation and interpretation analysis of the data performed by our local team, the in-house team. And finally reporting the comprehensive results using a well-defined format to the clinicians. And the scientific support and the genetic counseling support after release of the report is extended by our genetic counselors, and helping the clinicians and patients to understand what was reported in the report, and how to go ahead to manage and further treatment options if at all available for the condition. And yeah, here I would like to hand over the session to my colleague, Ms. Tamam, who is a certified genetic counselor. Tamam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lova, for a wonderful start to the presentation. Hello, everyone. So I'm Tamam Khalaf. I am the clinical counseling specialist based in the UAE. Part of what we offer and part of what makes GPDX so great is that we offer pre-test and post-test counseling to all patients and doctors as needed. We offer pre-test and post-test counseling, and within that, result interpretation, as well as an accurate risk assessment. And we can do this both on the phone and in person. We focus a lot on both counseling and education here at Igenomix. With counseling support, this is offered to both the patient and the physician by supporting the patient through their journey of genetic testing, as well as offering an appropriate risk assessment, pre-test and post-test, explaining the possible results, the implications of testing, and the limitations of testing. Additionally, we make sure that every patient has an informed choice and the autonomy to make an informed decision about which testing they should do. As well as once we have the results of the testing, we often support the patient by recommending future courses of action. Additionally, when it comes to education, we always support the physician as well as the patient by educating them about the methodology of the testing, about the technology used. We offer an in-depth genetic test description as well as the indication and the application of the testing. We offer workshops and meetings as well as seminars to clinic and staff as needed to discuss what types of genetic tests to expect based on the specialty or the field you're in. Additionally, we offer webinars just like this, as well as present at conferences in order to support the physicians as much as possible. And in a way to educate the patients, we have our own educational hub where we have videos in English and Arabic presented by genetic counselors explaining the different testing we offer, as well as what types of tests can be done in general to help solve a genetic query. So particularly, we offer support to physicians. We offer this by promoting family planning. So once we do a test, we discuss with the physician as well as the patient what the next steps could be. If screening tests are necessary, if we have a consanguineous couple and we want to ensure that they have a healthy baby. Additionally, we reduce the time of getting a conclusive diagnosis by obtaining all the clinical information needed from yourself and your patients in order to reduce the time to solve the diagnostic odyssey of the patient. We support the clinicians as well as the genetic analysts in making an accurate diagnosis, as well as offer a molecular confirmation of a diagnosis through our, like Lova mentioned, all the techniques that we have. Additionally, we support the patient and the physician in considering prevention by taking steps to ensure that this problem or a genetic diagnosis does not occur again in future pregnancies. As my colleague mentioned, we're part of a scientific committee. We have a local scientific team based in the UAE with Dr. Ayman Al-Khattab as our scientific board advisor, as well as myself and Sarah as clinical counseling specialists or genetic counselors, and Dr. Lova as our scientific advisor. Additionally, we have an international scientific team who's always available for support, both locally and internationally. We here, in terms of genetic counseling, offer support at any point, at any life stage. We would support you and your patient through all your patient journeys. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Ilona Barbosa, who will talk about the logistics aspects of things. Ilona.
Thank you, Tamam, for that beneficial information. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, my name is Ilona, and I am part of the 24/7 Customer Concierge team. Igenomix offers a global support handling 22 laboratories. It's still expanding with a strong and solid support team that provides assistance to doctors, patients, and clinics. Today, we will discuss how locally Igenomix UAE manages and supports you during the complete process. We have 7 easy steps to do so. First, we have our genetic counselors. Once they have done the discussions between patients and doctors, they will inform us and give us an information of the patients and demographic informations as well as the telephone numbers of the doctors to be able for us to communicate to doctors and patients for them to receive the proper step-by-step procedures of how to receive the kit, handling procedures, or even filling out the GPDX forms. After both sides has been discussed and clear for everyone, then we will proceed for the sample collection. For sample collections, we have different types of sample types that has specifications for each volume, container to use, as well as the transportation temperature. For peripheral blood, we requires 3 to 4 ml volume and should be used in an EDTA vacutainer tubes and can be transported between 20 to 25 degrees Celsius or room temperature. Also, we accept DNA, purified genomic DNA that should be sealed in Eppendorf tubes with a minimum in 1 microgram of DNA at the concentrations of 50 to 100 nanogram per microliter. This can be transported between 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Then we also have product of conception or fetal tissue that we requires to be cleaned with a sterile saline solutions and should be put in a sterile container. Saline solutions and can be put in a sterile container within 3 to 4 millimeter product of conception specimen or 50 to 100 milligram of each tissue. It can be transported again with a room temperature or 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Then we have amniotic fluid and chronic villi. Amniotic fluid, we require 10 to 15 ml volume of liquid, and it should be transported within 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. But for chorionic villi, the requirement would be 300 to 500 milligram can be transported within 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. For this case, we will be needing a gel or cool packs for these samples to be shipped to Igenomix laboratory. If everything is prepared and sample is collected properly, then we will be collecting the samples using our couriers from your clinic and ship it to Igenomix laboratory. Once we receive, we are checking and verifying all the details, then performs for testings and analysis will be done. After testings and analysis, final generations of report will be processed, and again, verifying of patient's details should be issued to ensure that we are releasing an accurate report within the specific working days or results within 15 working days turnaround time. Mentioning 15 working days turnaround time, this is important for us, for you to know that we are launching and speeding the process of having 15 working days turnaround time because of the in-house testing that allows us to provide the best possible turnaround time for each service. We have this list of tests for 15 working days turnaround time, such as whole exome diagnostic, whole exome couple screening, customized panels, CMA, single gene, target mutation, MLPA, that arrange that the results will be released within 14 working days turnaround time. For whole exome screening trio and whole genome sequencing, it will be done within 20 working days. Enterprise resource planning that we are using, the software that is being used in Igenomix is the Microsoft Dynamics Navision. Here we see every details, demographic details of the patients. It ensures and helps us to make sure that patients have proper information such as name, date of birth, medical record number, as well as we can check here the deadline and the deadline warning. So this is very important for you and as well for us to ensure that you receive the report on time with this software that we are using. Customer supports are divided into two groups, logistics and lab samples management. We are a dedicated and unified team to manage and ensure everything is okay during the testing cycle. We are available 24 hours, 7 days a week for any critical situations and urgent matters. You can communicate and call us directly using multi-channels. You can use phone, mobile, through WhatsApp, websites, and emails. We are your main point of contact as well for contacting doctors or any specific person inside Igenomix laboratories, such as lab department, finance, marketing, scientific team, and any other important persons that you would like to do so. We are your main point of contact. The Turnaround time is always being checked by the customer support department to ensure that doctors and patients receive the reports on time. As mentioned, we are properly checking details of each patient demographic information from the time that we receive the sample and upon releasing the report. Then the second part of the department will be logistics. Logistics team are the one who prepares the shipping documents and they ensure daily tracking of the shipment from the time it has been collected from your clinic to the time that we will receive it in the lab. We ensure smooth logistics process, ensuring everything documentations are prepared. Internationally, we are having and using our dedicated couriers such as FedEx, big couriers, DHL, Aramex. But for local clinics, which is located in the UAE, we have our dedicated drivers that are very well trained to how to collect samples from each specific test. Daily coordination has been properly arranged for this. Everything is aligned, pickup time. Anytime that you have scheduled the collections, our driver will be there on time. There is no delay and assurance that driver is dedicated to collect the samples on time. Again, checking and validating all documents upon arrivals is required for us as well. All those informations that I have discussed are the very important part in customer support logistics department. But before I'll end, I would like you to introduce to my team in UAE. We have 4 ladies here, including myself. We have Romella, Rachel, and Daniel, and as well as our gentleman's colleague in a different subsidiaries, such as in Kuwait, we have Ali, and in Saudi Arabia, we have Adam and Yusuf. Igenomix are here to provide you the best support assistance that will satisfy your needs. And again, thank you for coming today, and thank you everyone for all the time that you have been dedicated to check this webinar.
Thanks a lot, Ilona, and thanks for all of our amazing speaker. I think the presentation is long enough to cover all the object, but at the same time, it's very sure to be interesting. Now we are welcoming the questions and all the comments for our webinar today. So we will try our best to answer all of your questions. It seems that up to now there is no question. So I think by the end we can have a questions for our speaker today, for Dr. Lova. Dr. Lova, what do you think the policy of Igenomix in reporting the secondary finding in whole exome sequencing test?
Yes, Sarah. So we can report secondary findings based on the ACMG guidelines that were provided even recently, 2021, all 73 genes now included. And we can provide these information in whole exome sequencing data upon a consent or the request from the clinician or from the patient. Because as we know, these results are very tricky to counsel the patient. If the clinician is well aware and the patient is well aware of these results, then outcome of these results, yes, we can report them.
Great. And maybe the common question that we will be asked for most of the physician, like in our Igenomix, can we perform reanalysis of the WIS data?
Yes. So anytime if the clinician is not happy with the results, or like if we are not finding the answer for any of the genetic conditions by our first analysis report of WES or any panel, that we can offer a reanalysis at free of cost currently, and we will be providing these reanalysis results in next maximum of 1 week time. Okay, and we can say this way, if a panel was performed initially and if we don't have any answer for using the panel, then we can extend the service to whole exome sequencing as well. Okay, but if the whole exome itself is giving us negative, then always is recommended to come for a reanalysis. But if there is any additional information from the clinician side, like any clinical information, additional clinical information, the phenotypic information, then that is very helpful for us to like identify or match any of the variant that was excluded in the initial analysis.
Great, thank you so much, Dr. Loba. I think we can, I'm not sure if our attendees, they have any question. I want just to hear from them what's the practice in their clinic or in their hospital. Do they usually order the genetic test for their patient, or they prefer to send the patient to be assessed by a geneticist? If anyone can. Hello? If you can just write down like what's the practice in your hospital or in your clinics, or if you have any question, any comments for our webinar today.
Yes, Sarah, like even before that, yes, we can reinforce a point that the genetic counseling service that we are offering either pre or post test is completely free of cost. So if any case is there, the doctor can always send us the case for the counseling for a genetic counseling session, and we can provide the complete recommendations from our side, and which is definitely at a free of cost.
Thank you for mentioning this point, Dr. Loba. Tamam, I think we can help also our physician who have patients even like here in Saudi, like in other different areas like Jeddah, Dammam, Khobar, and the same maybe in UAE. You are handling other countries like Bahrain, Oman. So you can do the pre and post test counseling either by Zoom or by Skype. So I think this is, it will be also an extended services.
We can offer the counseling in whatever way the physician feels comfortable, and we're always happy to do the full giving the advice, and no decision will be made without the fully informed consent of both the patient and the physician. So you're involved in every step of the way.
Sure. By the end, I would like just to remind our attendees that if you have any comments or if you have any question, you can send it to our email, the one that we mentioned in the last slide. Last but not least, I would like to thank all of our speakers today. I would like to thank all of our attendees for taking the time and being here today. Big thanks for our marketing team who make this event successful, and we look forward for bringing more representation in the future. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you everyone, and thank you,
everyone.
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.